Snow fell like dust from the sky, thick and endless. The wind howled over the white landscape, covering everything in silence and ice. The planet's surface was deadly. No living creature could survive long without shelter or heat. But still, someone was out there. Human soldier Cole stepped over a fallen log buried in snow. His boots crunched the ice with every step. He scanned the area with sharp eyes, holding his rifle close but relaxed. His mission was simple: search the outer zone for any survivors after the recent battle. Their outpost had been attacked 3 days ago, and the storm had cut them off. He breathed into his mask, watching his breath turn to mist. Then he saw something. First, it looked like a pile of frozen rags in the snow, but when he looked again, the shape moved, just a little. Cole walked closer, careful and quiet, his hand still on his weapon. What he found made him pause. It was a woman, not human. Her skin was pale with a soft bluish tone. She had small elf-like ears and strange patterns along her cheekbones. Her long silver hair was frozen to her back. She wore torn armor, cracked and useless against the cold. Her body was curled tightly and she was shaking, lips blue and eyes barely open. Cole knew her kind. The enemy. The same species that had attacked his unit only days before. He had lost friends because of them. He had seen what they could do. But now, she wasn't dangerous. She looked like she was dying. He looked around. No one in sight. No drones. No other soldiers. Just snow and silence. He took a slow breath. "I shouldn't help you," he said quietly, more to himself than to her. She didn't respond. She couldn't. He dropped to one knee beside her, checking her pulse. Faint, but still there. Cole made a choice. He took off his thermal blanket, the one that kept his body warm in these deadly temperatures, and wrapped it tightly around the alien woman's body. She didn't move, but the shaking slowed a little. "Don't die out here," he whispered. She blinked weakly. Her eyes met his. There was no hate in them, only fear and confusion. He saw something else too, surprise. As if she couldn't believe he had helped her. Cole sighed and activated his communicator. "This is Sergeant Cole, Sector 6. No survivors from our unit found. Continuing sweep." He didn't mention her, not yet. He picked her up carefully. She was lighter than he expected. Her armor was cracked along the side, showing deep bruises and a wound that had stopped bleeding but looked bad. He carried her back to his small shelter, a temporary structure built near a frozen cliffside. Inside, the heat unit still worked. He placed her near it, added another blanket, and checked her wounds. She winced slightly but didn't resist. She didn't even speak. "Stay quiet," he said gently. "I'm not going to hurt you." He gave her a ration pack. She looked at it confused, then copied what he did, tore it open and took a bite. Her hands shook, but she ate it slowly. An hour passed. Then another. The wind outside howled louder, but inside it was warm and quiet. Cole sat across from her watching. She had curled into the blanket, her skin slowly turning less pale. Her eyes stayed on him, nervous, unsure. Finally, she spoke. Just one word. "Why?" Cole looked up. "Why what?" She pointed to herself, then to the blanket. "Why, help?" she asked, struggling with the words. Cole rubbed his face. "I don't know," he answered. "Maybe because you're not shooting at me. Maybe because you're cold. Maybe because I'm tired of this war." She stared for a long time, then gave a small nod. She understood. They sat in silence again. He could tell she wanted to say more, but her body was still weak. When she drifted to sleep, Cole looked at her again. He had every reason to leave her out there, to walk away. That was what soldiers were taught, to follow orders, protect their own, and never trust the enemy. But something had changed in that frozen moment. She wasn't just an enemy. She was someone who had been left to die, just like some of his own had been, and he had made a choice. One that might cost him everything, but somehow it didn't feel wrong. Outside, the storm covered the tracks he had made in the snow. Inside, beside a small heater, two beings from different worlds sat in peace. For the first time, the fire in the heater crackled softly. It wasn't real fire, just a survival unit's heating glow, but it gave off enough warmth to keep the cold out. Cole leaned against the wall of the shelter, watching the alien woman as she slept under his blanket. Her name was still unknown to him. Her armor looked old, maybe from an older unit, and she had bruises along her arms and side. But her breathing had become steady, and her color had returned. Cole had seen many aliens before, but none up close like this. Usually they were behind enemy weapons or ship windows. He had never looked one in the eyes without a battle between them. He didn't sleep that night. He kept his rifle close, just in case. He didn't know what she would do when she fully woke up. Maybe she'd try to run, maybe she'd attack. But deep inside, he didn't think she would. By morning, the storm outside had calmed. The wind slowed and the snow stopped falling. The alien woman opened her eyes slowly and looked around. Her hand gripped the blanket. Then her eyes met his again. "You stayed," she said, voice low and rough. Cole gave a short nod. "Didn't feel right to leave you." She sat up slowly, then gave a quiet sound, something between a sigh and a groan. Her injuries were clearly bothering her, but she didn't ask for help. Cole opened a ration pack and slid it across the floor to her. "Eat." She took it and opened it carefully, copying what he had done before. As she ate, she glanced at him from time to time as if trying to figure him out. Finally, she spoke again. "Name?" "Cole," he said. "You?" There was a pause. Then she said, "Lyra." "Lyra," Cole repeated. She nodded. "From Zayari tribe." Cole raised his eyebrows slightly. "That's far from here. You were part of the attack?" Lyra didn't answer at first, then she looked down. "Yes, but not like others." "What do you mean?" "Not want war," she said carefully. "Sent to fight. I healed others. No kill." Cole noticed her hands. They were thin, soft-looking, with marks of burns and scratches. Not fighters' hands, healers' hands. "You were a medic?" he asked. She thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, heal." It made sense. Her armor was light, not like the warrior suits he had seen. She had been left behind, not because she was weak, but because she wasn't important to their mission. Maybe they thought she had died in the cold. Maybe they didn't care. Cole looked outside through a small view slit. The snow had settled, but movement would be dangerous. His communicator beeped. A message from command. "No life signs found. Continue sweep. Return by next cycle." He didn't reply. Instead, he looked back at Lyra. "I can't stay here long. My people expect me back soon." Lyra said nothing. "If they find you with me," he added, "they won't be kind." She slowly pulled the blanket closer around her body. "Then go." Cole sighed. "I'm not just going to leave you out here again." She stared at him, surprised. "There's a tunnel through the cliffs," he said. "Old mining route. It leads to a drop zone used for supply runs. We might find shelter there, or a signal booster." Lyra tilted her head. "You help me escape?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah." "Why?" she asked again, just like the night before. Cole shrugged. "Because you're not the enemy anymore. Not here. Not like this." Lyra's eyes softened. Her hand moved toward her side. She pulled out a small metallic badge. It looked like a symbol. Maybe her tribe's mark. She handed it to him. "Gift." He took it carefully. It was smooth, cold, and shaped like a half circle with a small star etched into the middle. "What does it mean?" he asked. "Peace," she said simply. He placed it in his coat pocket. "Thanks." They rested a few more hours. Cole patched her wounds with supplies from his med kit. She winced but didn't cry out. Her strength was returning, but she still needed help walking. As they packed up, Cole handed her a spare jacket. It was too big for her, but she accepted it without complaint. She also held tightly to the blanket he had given her earlier. "You keep it," Cole said. "It suits you better." She smiled, small, but real. It was the first smile he had seen from her. They stepped out of the shelter into the cold again, but this time together. The wind had calmed. The sky above was pale blue with distant stars shining faintly. The frozen wasteland stretched ahead, quiet and endless. Their journey wasn't over. There would be dangers ahead, frostbite, patrols, maybe even drones from either side. But something had started between them, a fragile trust, and it all began with a single act of kindness, a blanket in the snow. Cole and Lyra stepped out into the pale light of the cold morning. The frozen wasteland stretched far and wide, with nothing but snow and jagged ice around them. The wind had quieted, but the air was still sharp and cold enough to bite their skin. Cole adjusted the jacket on Lyra's shoulders. It hung loosely on her thin frame but gave her some protection against the chill. He pulled his scarf tighter around his neck and checked the map he carried. The underground geothermal tunnel was not far from here. If they could reach it, they might find safety and warmth. But danger was close. Cole's heart beat faster as he scanned the horizon. The cold didn't make things safer. It made them harder. The snow hid footsteps and the silence hid threats. He knew the patrols would be coming soon. Both sides would be searching for them. From the human side, he was now a deserter. Helping an alien enemy meant punishment. From Lyra's side, she was seen as weak and a traitor for leaving her unit behind. Neither would want them alive. They moved carefully, stepping over frozen rocks and avoiding open plains. Lyra leaned on Cole sometimes, still weak, but determined. She kept the blanket wrapped tightly around her, and Cole could tell she trusted him more with every step. Suddenly, the sound of distant voices and boots crunching snow reached them. Cole froze. He whispered, "We have to hide." He led Lyra behind a large ice boulder. They crouched low, breathing slowly to keep quiet. 2 human soldiers passed by, rifles ready. Cole recognized the uniform, a patrol sent to sweep the area for enemies, and missing personnel. He held his breath as they passed, heart pounding. Lyra squeezed his arm softly. When the patrol was gone, Cole whispered, "We can't stay out here, we have to move now." They hurried toward the cliffs where the tunnel entrance was supposed to be. The ground became rougher, covered with jagged ice crystals. As they climbed, Lyra stopped suddenly. "I hear them," she said in a low voice. "Not human." Cole frowned. "Alien patrol?" She nodded. "Zayari sent hunters. They track me." Cole looked at her. "They want to capture, or kill you?" She swallowed hard. "Kill." Seen as traitor. His jaw tightened. "Then we don't have much time." The entrance to the tunnel was narrow and hidden by snow and ice. Cole pushed away frozen branches and cleared debris until he found the old, metal door. Rusted but still solid. They slipped inside quickly. The air in the tunnel was warmer, moist, and smelled of earth and minerals. Dim lights flickered along the walls, powered by a small geothermal generator. Lyra looked around, relief washing over her face. Safe here. Cole set up a small fire using his portable stove. The warmth made them both sigh. They sat quietly, catching their breath. Lyra looked at Cole, her eyes serious. "Why help me? Why risk your life?" He shrugged. "I don't like war. I don't want to kill more than I have to." She smiled faintly. "We are not so different." Cole nodded. "No. Maybe we are more alike than others think." Outside the tunnel, footsteps grew louder. The alien hunters were closing in. Suddenly, the old door shook. Someone was trying to open it. Cole grabbed his rifle and moved to block the entrance. Lyra stood beside him, unarmed but ready. The door crashed open. 2 armed aliens stepped inside, weapons raised. Cole raised his rifle but hesitated. One of the aliens looked at Lyra and said something in their language. She answered quickly, her voice calm. Cole watched, confused but hopeful. The aliens lowered their weapons slightly. Then the leader stepped forward. "Lyra," he said, "you come with us. You must answer for your betrayal." Lyra shook her head. "No. I want peace." The leader looked at Cole. "And you?" Cole said firmly. "I'm not your enemy." The room was tense. Suddenly the alien leader nodded slowly. "This place is no longer safe for any of us." Cole looked at Lyra. "We have to leave." They left the tunnel together, stepping into the harsh cold once again. But now they were not just hunted by soldiers or traitors. They were hunted by fear and old grudges. Their journey was far from over. But Cole and Lyra had something few others had found: a fragile trust. And maybe, just maybe, it was the start of something new. The frozen wind bit at Cole's face as he and Lyra hurried away from the tunnel entrance. The cold seemed sharper now, almost as if the world itself was warning them to turn back. But they had no choice. Safety was still far away. Lyra's steps were slow, but steady. She held the blanket tightly around her, the fabric a small comfort against the cold that still threatened to consume her. Cole glanced at her and felt a strange protectiveness. She had been so fragile when he found her, shivering and almost lifeless. Now she was moving with purpose even if pain still showed in her eyes. They moved carefully across the icy ground, avoiding open areas where they could be seen. The mountains loomed above them, sharp and white against the pale sky. Somewhere beyond those peaks was the drop zone, a place Cole hoped would have people, warmth, and maybe even a way off this frozen nightmare. As they walked, Lyra suddenly stopped. Cole looked at her, concerned. "Are you all right?" She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "There is something I must tell you." Cole waited silently. Lyra took a deep breath. "I was left behind, not because I was weak. My people, they feared me." Cole frowned. "Feared? You? Why?" She looked away. "Because I did not want war. I believe in peace. But my tribe, the Zayari, they want to fight. They see peace as weakness." Cole's eyes softened. "That's why they left you to die?" She nodded. "Yes. They said I was a liability, a traitor. So they abandoned me during retreat." Cole felt anger rise inside him. He clenched his fists. "That's cruel." Lyra looked back at him, her eyes shining with pain and hope mixed together. "But you showed me kindness. You saved me." Cole swallowed hard. "I didn't do it for glory or thanks, I just couldn't leave you there." They walked on in silence for a while, the weight of their truths settling between them. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Cole stopped and looked around. "Earthquake?" Lyra asked, her voice tense. "No," Cole said. "Something bigger." Ahead the ice cracked loudly. A massive chasm opened, splitting the ground. Cole grabbed Lyra's arm. "Watch your step." They carefully stepped back as the crack grew. Huge chunks of ice shifted and fell into the abyss below. The geothermal tunnel was unstable, caused by the planet's heat pushing from underneath. If they stayed in one place too long, the ground might collapse. "We have to move faster," Cole said. Lyra nodded, gripping her blanket tighter. As they crossed a narrow ice bridge over the chasm, a shadow appeared at the edge, a patrol of alien soldiers. Cole's heart pounded. He raised his rifle, signaling Lyra to stay low, but then something surprising happened. Lyra stepped forward, raising her hands. "Stop," she said loudly in their language. The soldiers hesitated, then lowered their weapons. She spoke quickly, explaining who she was and why she was with Cole. Cole watched, amazed. The leader of the patrol, a tall figure with glowing eyes, nodded slowly. "Peace?" he asked. Lyra nodded firmly. The patrol leader looked at Cole. "And you?" "I'm not your enemy," Cole said honestly. The tension eased. The soldiers lowered their weapons fully. The leader stepped aside. "You may pass." Cole and Lyra hurried across the ice bridge and into the snowy forest beyond. For the first time in days, the air felt less deadly. But they still had miles to go. As they moved deeper into the forest, Lyra's strength began to fade. Cole noticed her breathing was shallow. "You need to rest." She shook her head. "No, we must reach the drop zone." Cole understood her will. It reminded him of his own determination. They found a small cave and took shelter. Cole pulled out his med kit and checked her wounds again. She smiled faintly. "Thank you." He smiled back. "We will get through this." Outside, the stars began to shine, cold and distant. Cole wrapped the blanket around Lyra once more. It was no longer just a shield from the cold. It had become a symbol of hope. Together, they faced the night, two souls from different worlds bound by trust, courage, and a shared desire for peace. The morning light broke through the trees, casting soft shadows on the frozen ground. Cole woke to the faint sound of movement beside him. Lyra was already awake, her eyes bright but tired. The blanket wrapped around her was worn and threadbare, but she held it close like a treasure. "We need to move," Cole said softly, sitting up. Lyra nodded, standing slowly. Her strength was better now, but the journey ahead was still long. As they stepped out into the cold air, they saw smoke rising in the distance. The drop zone. Hope filled Cole's heart. Maybe they would find help there. But the moment they neared, armed humans appeared, blocking their path. Cole raised his hands. "We come in peace." One of the soldiers frowned. "Identify yourselves." Lyra stepped forward, holding the blanket tightly. "I am Lyra. I am not your enemy." Cole added, "I am Sergeant Cole. I helped her survive." The soldiers exchanged uncertain looks. Then a senior officer arrived, scanning them carefully. "Why is she here?" the officer asked Lyra. "I was abandoned by my people." "He saved me," Lyra said simply. The officer's eyes lingered on Cole's uniform. "You're off orders. This could be considered desertion." Cole didn't flinch. "I saved a life. That should matter more." Suddenly, communication buzzed over the officer's radio. "Sir, incoming message from command. They want a full report on the situation." The officer nodded and motioned for them to follow. Inside the command tent, Cole and Lyra were questioned. Cameras recorded every word. Lyra spoke about her people, her hopes for peace, and how she had been left to die. Cole shared how he found her and why he helped. The leaders listened quietly, some skeptical, others thoughtful. Later, news spread quickly across both human and alien forces. An alien woman and a human soldier, once enemies, had survived together through kindness and trust. It was a story that challenged old beliefs. Leaders, on both sides, began secret talks inspired by this unexpected act of friendship. Cole was cleared of charges, recognized for his courage, not for fighting, but for compassion. Lyra was offered a role as ambassador, a bridge between their worlds. In a quiet moment, Lyra pulled the worn blanket from her pack. She unfolded it slowly, showing it to Cole. "This blanket saved me," she said softly. "But more than that, it started something new." Cole smiled, touched. A small act can change the course of many lives. Together they looked toward the stars, knowing their journey was only the beginning. Two different worlds, once divided by fear and war, now had a chance to walk a path of peace. And it all began with a simple blanket given in the cold.